Hello and welcome to the TNC podcast, an exclusive yellow and green conversation I'm looking forward to having today. I'm joined by an experienced Swiss international winger, a 5-time Swiss champion, 2-time Swiss Cup winner, and he's also, just to drop it in, played in the Champions League, the Euros and the World Cup. This player joined Norwich City from Young Boys in the summer of 2023, playing 50 games and scoring 6 glorious goals. Now he is ready to reflect on his time in yellow and green and give TalkNorwichCity the first interview with an English outlet since leaving the football club. It's none other than Fassi, as I am as Christian Fassnacht. Fassi, welcome to the podcast. How are you settling back into Swiss life, my friend?
I'm feeling quite good, to be honest. As you can imagine, there's no better feeling actually than coming back home and have family and friends close to you. But on the other hand, as well, it's a little bit sad to left the UK behind me. But yeah, I'm in a good mood actually. I'm fully fit now. Hopefully, I will get the first minutes this weekend. So I'm quite happy.
We're going to talk about your unfortunate injuries. We're going to talk about the way you left the football club. We're going to talk about what you really think about your time at Norwich City. We're going to get to all of that. But I think to kick things off, Fassi, we should go back to the beginning, really, when you first joined Norwich in 2023. What actually drew you to Norwich City? What were your first impressions of the club? And also, tell us a little bit about how that deal happened. How did you find out about Norwich City and what did you really think about us?
That's actually quite a funny story because the first meeting I really had with the club was through Zoom, and then I flew straight to Austria. So I actually never saw anything about Norfolk or Norwich or the training ground or whatever. But I have like just a good feeling. Like, of course, I've known David from before. But yeah, I was at a point at Young Boys where I said, okay, I want to leave. I want to have a new challenge or to face a new challenge. And I just had a good feeling. And anyway, I was like, okay, as a Swiss guy, you're always watching, for example, the Bundesliga. So Germany is actually like the country where we normally go. But in my case, I was like, I really want to have a challenge. The German culture is close to Switzerland, so going to a different country with a different language and everything was quite interesting, and I was looking forward to have a challenge, and the club offered me a good option, and I was really happy to accept it.
You arrived at the pre-season camp in Austria, as you said, Fassi, didn't you? I remember that well, actually, because I remember your picture with like the mountains in the background.
Yeah.
Who's this cool guy rocking up? And what did you first think of the squad, Fassi, when you arrived? And who were the players that stood out for you on that camp where you thought, "Cool, blimey, they've got some really good players here"?
To be honest, at the beginning, I didn't know any one of the players because I think it's normal that maybe from Switzerland or as well from other countries, you don't follow like the championship like completely. So of course, before I moved, I watched the squad and everything. But I think at the beginning it was Gibbo and Kenny who were quite friendly and invited me for dinner and whatever, playing cards after training. So yeah, the first week was interesting, but as well, I felt like, okay, this squad here is similar to what I've known before in Switzerland.
Is Kenny McLean, of course, now captain since Grant Hanley's departed the club? Is he quite good in the old cards, Fassi? Did he beat you?
He is quite good, yeah, that's true. But Gibbo was as well really good.
Okay, good to know. Let's fast forward a bit, Fassi, to your first goal. I'm sure you'll remember it well. I want to ask you about it. It was a rather dramatic late goal away at Southampton, if you remember. And we all thought that was going to be the winner, and then it just broke our hearts right at the death. What do you remember about that moment, scoring your first goal in England? You must have been buzzing.
Yeah, it was actually like a perfect start for me because the game before, Adam scored a last minute winner, and then we played away at Southampton and I scored. And I was like, now this has to be the moment. And then I think it was a pen afterwards, and they made the equalizer. I was like, oh fucking hell, why? It would be so nice to join the club and help them to get the first 6 points. And yeah, but still was for my personal feeling, it was amazing because it just happened literally in front of the away fans. So yeah, I will never forget this moment.
It was brilliant, mate, and I was
Yeah.
gutted that it wasn't a winner, that's for sure. You have mentioned his name already, Fassi. I want to get stuck in now to David Wagner. Actually, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on Wagner ball and how it first started and when it ended, and particularly with yourself, Fassi, because you were asked to do various midfield roles when you were at the club. So how did you find David's tactics, maybe at the start and then maybe at the end? And interested to get your opinions on that.
Yeah, I think he had a big change through the whole season. I think especially at the beginning of the season, the way he wants to play suits me a little bit more than how he wanted to play in the end, because I'm actually like to play on the right or left wing, whatever, and come in between the lines and be like a floater or whatever. And for me, it was like the last games, even if I played as a right winger, I felt more like almost a number 6, and the right back was all the time in front of me. And I was like, but I actually want to score goals. And if I'm that deep in my own half, it's not even possible. So I think, yeah, the first 6 months were probably better for me, the way he wanted to play. But yeah, I think he wanted just to play really straightforward, and that's actually something I like. Yeah.
I want to ask you about that. You know, your wing back behind you, essentially, that's now in front of you, and you're not scoring goals. And I remember speaking. I'm sure you won't mind me saying. Well, actually, you won't mind me saying at all. Actually, O'Neill was equally as frustrated and had a similar bit of feedback for me that you've just said there, Fassi, about how all of a sudden the role that he's playing it's quite negative almost. Like it's just like you're just not really getting forwards at all. That's down to the wing back behind you to bomb on. So it must have been frustrating, Fassi, because you've gone from, you know, you've scored your first goal against Southampton, you're playing positive attacking football, and then all of a sudden it was like almost let's just shut up shop and grind out games and try and get 1-0 wins. There must have been quite a hard period for you.
It was, especially because, as I said at the beginning, I've known David from before, and actually I thought we have like a good connection, and he should actually know what are my strengths and where I'm good on the pitch. And I think he took this completely away from me, and that was like, I don't know, I was, even if I played just for 10 minutes or I don't know, 60 minutes, whatever, I left the pitch and I was like, I didn't play football the way I actually want to. And it just like, it feels weird and frustrating to be like, you're on the pitch, but never in the position where you feel like comfortable. And yeah, that's quite frustrating because you never play like as good as you should or you can. And yeah, I think that was a tough moment for me.
Were you promised when you first joined? I obviously don't know how it works as a player. So when you first joined Norwich City, you obviously have conversations with David Wagner, and he says, "Right, Fassi, this is where I want you to play. This is what I want you to do." So is there almost an element of you've kind of been missold the dream here because then all of a sudden you're not, or is that just football? Is that just something that can happen and you take it on the chin?
Yeah, I think so. That's part of the business, because I think one of the main problems as well was that we have a lot of injuries as well. I mean, Sarge was out, I don't know, for a month, and yeah, then we missed like a real striker, and then I think it made sense for David to change a little bit the system and everything. Yeah, that's something you sometimes have to take, and you can't do anything.
One of the things I want to ask you now, Fass, is about the championship and getting used to it. Obviously, the grueling schedule, the intensity. What were your biggest challenges as a, you know, quote unquote foreign player coming from abroad? You're playing in England, and there's such a big deal made of it, Fassi. And I kind of want just the honest truth on this because, you know, for example, we're you know heavily debating now Ante Sanats, for example. He's come over from abroad like yourself, you know, getting used to the English game. Is it tough to adapt to the English game, and how did you personally find it?
It is tough. It is really. I think especially the whole all the teams who are playing in the championship, they're able to beat each other. It's like, of course, you have the teams that are coming down from the Premier League. They're maybe a little bit better, but in general, I think every game is like, if you're not at 100%, you're going to lose this game, and that's insane. I mean, we've played so many good games, and in the end, you still have like 0 points. And for me, the biggest difference in compared to Switzerland was like really the intensity. It's like the game never stops. It's crazy. It's like the ball goes out, it goes in again, and left, right, whatever, and there's no VAR. So that's actually as well like something, the game is just running. And yeah, I really liked it, but that's for sure like something you have to adapt. It's not that easy because it's still not like, a lot of my friends ask me, is it still like kick and rush like in the days before? I was no. Of course, you have some teams, they try or they have to play like a little bit of kick and rush, but in general, I think the championship has a really good level at the moment, as well, based on the technique. It's really, really good. But for me, the most difficult thing was for sure the intensity.
To be fair, mate, it's kind of good to hear, really, because it's one of those things that we debate all the time, really. Like, oh, do we really need to believe this whole, foreign player? How can they not get used to it? So it's good to hear from you that it does take time to adapt, actually, in terms of our patience with some of the young players, certainly. Fassi, if you don't mind me asking, I want to kind of go into your injuries, if you don't mind, because of course they hugely disrupted your time at Norwich City. There's no escaping that. I want to ask you what it was like dealing with that mentally, and obviously then you've got the outside noise of the fans on social media and stuff, and you're trying to get fit again. And what was that like, dealing with that?
To be honest, this was quite tough time for me. Especially it all started in the preseason. You have like a new boss as well. Ben was new. He was not the guy who signed me. So it was like, okay, even for me, like David left, and it was like, okay, now it's actually a restart. I want to show them I'm now 1 year in Norwich. I feel comfortable, and now it's the moment to go for it, to push for it. And then just to train 5 days, get an injury, work yourself back several weeks, and then come back, play one game, and get injured again. I think this was really, really tough, just based on mental health. The good thing is that we actually had like an amazing recovery hub and good physios at Norwich. Even if I was injured all the time, I was quite happy, and it was amazing to go to the training ground every day because the facilities are amazing. We have good food over there. There's now a big pool and everything. So yeah, even if I was injured all the time, I've really had a good time.
Is it really true that the swimming pool? I mean, we've called the swimming pool at Colney the holy water, Fassi, because when players get in there, it heals them. But does it really make a difference? Because again, this is something that fans talk about. They're like, well, there's lots of noise about the training ground and how that's really important. But the fans are like, yeah, but we want to see those results on the pitch, right? But it does make a difference, doesn't it, in terms of attracting top talent, your recovery, for example?
100%. I mean, especially when you're injured, it's nice to have like different possibilities to train. Like at the beginning, there is in a pool, there is a treadmill where you can walk. It's not the same to do it like outside. So in the water, it's like you're not that heavy and everything. So you can start different, and I think it makes a difference, especially when you want to get players over. You need to have a good training ground at the moment, because if you don't have it, some club will have it, and then the player is gone.
So true, so true. I want to go back a little bit, actually, Fassi, to that season under David Wagner when you joined, because it was such an up and down campaign, wasn't it? It was all over the place, tactically, on the pitch, off the pitch. We obviously enjoyed some amazing home form towards the end. We managed to get ourselves into the playoffs. What's your kind of reflections of that time when we got into the playoffs? What were you thinking? And also, what do you think your teammates were thinking? Because there was almost this expectation from the fans that we were never good enough to be there. So I'm intrigued to know from you what you thought.
think the whole season was like a roller coaster. As you mentioned before, we had like good games, and then the next game was really shit, to be honest. And I think the good thing was that we had so many wins at home. But in my case, I never doubted the quality of the squad. And now when I reflecting it, it's like, imagine we would have win some more games away, what would actually be possible? Because we still managed to get into the playoffs. I mean, I don't know, around Christmas, we were like, I don't know, 16 or 17 in the table. It's like, wow, I mean, we make it still to the playoffs. So if you just take, I don't know, 3, 6, or 9 points where you lost the games and add it to what you actually had, would be, in my scenario, would be possible to be even higher in the table, but that's part of the game.
Interesting to get your take, Fassi. And from behind the scenes, honestly, what was it like when it was, getting towards the end of the season? Obviously, we get into the playoffs. There's lots of talk about the fact that David Wagner's done. Essentially, he's not going to continue on as a manager. Did that kind of noise seep into the playing squad? And what was it like when David left the club as well? What was that like behind the scenes?
It was quite weird, to be honest. I think as well, when we made it to the playoffs, you already know, okay, probably, okay, if you made it to the Prem, then in my opinion, it's not possible to sack him. But yeah, I don't know what actually would happen in this scenario. But yeah, you actually know that probably there's going to be a new boss in the summer, and you already know as well that a lot of the players are going to leave in summer. So that was quite something, in the squad. But we knew, okay, now it's a playoff. First 2 games against Leeds. Everything is actually possible. If we made it, then it's like, out of a sudden, the season was actually not really good. It's an amazing season, but I think we were still extremely focused, and we believed.
Right.
I think we should actually just played better the first home game against Leeds, because away was a tough game. But yeah, actually we believed in it, and I think we could do it actually a little bit better. But yeah.
So are you saying there, Fassi, that the approach to the Leeds game at home was quite negative? Is that fair? Would you have gone for it, or did you think that pragmatic approach was right with the players that we had?
No, I actually would say like this home game, even if it's like first leg and second leg, but when you play at home, you just have to go all in my opinion. Like if you like we had you make a draw and then you go away, it's so hard. So just try and if you win 1-0, 2-0, whatever, then you're in a good position. But just go out and try not to lose. It's like something I don't like as a player. Just go and try and give everything, and if it's not possible, then it's not possible, but at least you tried. And I think that was something I've missed a little bit in this home game.
This is the thing that frustrated me, Fassi, and I'm sure lots of Norwich fans will be kind of nodding their heads and shouting yes at the screen right now when the win is back. And that's what we've enjoyed under Johannes Thorup so much more, is that at least it's going to be entertaining football. You're going to give it a go. We're going to try and be proactive in a game. Just link back to that squad piece and getting into the playoffs, Fassi, and then you've had all that experience with that team. And I know that players don't like to do this, but I'm going to force you on the TalkNorwichCity podcast. Who would you say is the most talented player in that team in that season? Who was the guy that you looked at and thought, blimey, what a player?
They're just gonna be 2 guys in my mind. I think
Okay.
you know both really well. But I would go probably for Gabby. It was like so calm on the ball, and he just, even if David played him on a different position, he was just able to fit it. And I don't know, he was just an amazing player, and as well, like off the pitch, he's such a nice guy, and I really enjoyed to play with him.
Was it almost a bit frustrating, Fassi, that he was obviously one of those players that the team would have known, well, if we don't go up this season, he's too good for this league? Is that one of those players where you go, it's almost a bit frustrating because you've only got him temporarily? Or how do you adapt to that as a team? Or do you just enjoy playing with him whilst he's with you?
Like For me, it's quite normal because even when I was back in Switzerland, it's normal that the best players, you're going to sell them. I think it's just the case if you play, I don't know, for Manchester City or whatever, that probably the players, there's no better club at the moment to go somewhere else. So I think it's quite normal when you're in a good, you're playing at a good club, that if there's an amazing player, that he is going to make the next step. So of course it's frustrating because you want to keep him, and but on the other hand, it's like, come on, mate, you deserve that. Make the next step and enjoy whatever comes.
That's fair enough. It's interesting to know. Fasti, we have reached the halfway point, so I've got some quick fire questions for you, my friend. All right. So kicking off, your best moment in a Norwich shirt was what?
Probably say the derby win against Ipswich at home, even if I didn't play, but it was amazing.
Actually, hang on. It's not quick fire anymore. Tell me more. Why was that so good?
I don't know. It was just before this game, the pressure was extreme. I think it was 15 years, and we were not in a really good mood. And it was like, fucking hell. We had a lot of conversation in the dressing room, like, come on, guys. It's not possible that we are the guys who are going to lose the first time. But it was not like that we made like pressure out of it. It's more like, guys, we have to be ready. We have to kill them. And then to see like all the fans in front of the stadium, in front of Carrow Road, it was just like, wow. The city is burning, and we have to give it back to the fans, and it was just amazing.
It's so interesting to hear that that's your best moment. Like, it's so interesting, and it was just such a big game. And it's really interesting, Fassi, to get your take on like almost like the unhealthy pressure of let's not be the team that loses after 15 years, because that's what you would be remembered for, right? So it's interesting to get you to say. Anyway, let's go back to quickfire. Hardest opponent that you faced in the championship?
In the championship, that's difficult, but I would say all the time at Norwich, I would say Cody Cuckpo when we played against Liverpool in the FA Cup.
Ooh, interesting. Yes, interesting. Your favourite goal for Norwich City?
The one we talked before against Southampton.
Southampton, your first, okay. And what is one thing you will miss the most about Carrow Road?
On the ball City at the beginning of the game. That was because we don't have like this kind of songs in Switzerland, for example, before a game. And that was just like, I remember really the first game at home against Hull. I was on the bench, and I've heard it for the first time, and I got goosebumps on all over the body, and I was like, wow, that's amazing.
I love to hear that.
I'm gonna miss that.
I love that, mate. You've clearly got musical taste, Fassi. I don't think we've ever had a player that's gone, I'll miss On the Ball City. So thank you for being the first player. I appreciate that. Fassi, let's move forwards now away from quickfire and fast forwards to Johannes Turp joining as the new head coach. You've already kind of started to divulge into that. How did the change in management affect the team in terms of you as an individual, but also the team as a whole? I'm really interested to hear, what was he like in training with the tactics when he first came in? What was the feeling in the squad? Please share as much as you can.
I think there was a big change because it was not only like Johannes. I mean, the whole stuff around him, there were new faces in the building. So there were big changes. And I think the most different thing compared to David is like Johannes are, in my opinion, like the new generation. They're working like really on a data, like they analyze everything, and we have like every morning there's like a video 9:45. You have to be in the meeting room, and it's like every morning you're going to study the training from the day before, from the game. And I think that's the new generation of coaches. Like they're really focused on analysis. And David was more like old school, not that he's like really old school, but it was different. And as well, the way he wants to work on a pitch, we have like a golf cart with a screen on it, so it's actually possible to film or to record the training, and then straight after, still on the pitch, he's able to show like the situation and say, listen, Fuzzy, in this situation you actually have to run there or whatever. So he can give you like a feedback within minutes, and that's amazing. And I think that's probably the new generation of coaches, like, yeah, to be completely based on data. And yeah.
Did you enjoy that, Fassi? Because there's almost part of me that thinks, like, of course you want to be the best player, right? But you said there, you know, they track everything. So there's almost like there's no hiding. And I'd love to know from you, Fassi, like what was Johannes and his team tracking in terms of data? Like, what was it that what would you get? Like, do you get a report with, you know, I don't know how many miles you run, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean that's the basic stuff. Like, we were like, in every training you have a GPS,
Yes.
and then, I mean, that's completely normal that you see after the training, if you want to see it, like how many sprints you've done, how many meters you covered or whatever. But he was more like specific on the runs you've done in a session or whatever. So like really based on his tactic, and not more like the normal data. And there's as well like expected goals, and how much ball possession we have, and as well how many passes we've played and everything, stuff like that. I've never seen before, like that someone is completely into it, and he absolutely knows everything about it. I mean, at the beginning I was like, okay, I don't know if 500 passes per game is a lot or not, because I'm not that guy who is watching a lot of football
Yeah.
when I'm back home. So probably if I would have watched a little bit more Champions League or whatever, and you see the in the end, like the statistics, and you see, okay, passes completed, then probably you would have a little bit of feeling for it. But in my case, I was like, okay, that's quite interesting, and that's a different way to see a training session.
And that's the geeky side of the game. That's the analytical side of the game. But I don't want to let you dodge part of that question, Fassi, which was, what was the feeling in the camp when Johannes came in? Because you've gone from, we've called him old school David Wagner, to new school, modern Johannes of Turup. Obviously a younger manager. What's the feeling in the camp? Because David's gone with all of his staff members, as you've said. Johannes has come in. Like, were the players, you know, receptive and excited, or were they almost a bit like, oh my God, like, is this the end of my time here? Or how does that work?
Probably it was a little bit of both. I mean, most of the play were, even myself, we were quite exciting to see like how everything is going under Johannes, and he brings in new thinking, new way of playing football. Yeah, and as I said before, we had a lot of players who left in the summer. So even at the beginning, we know, okay, this won't be the squad actually where we start the season. So yeah, it was a quite interesting time, especially the preseason. We have to adapt to new stuff, but I think all the players were really positive. Like, okay, now there's a big change, but as well a big opportunity to make the next step, and yeah, get actually a better season than the one before.
Speaking of big changes, Fassi, there was a big change with your situation. And as you've said, you know, you had this attitude of, you know, being excited, looking forwards. I remember, you know, a private conversation we had around, you know, your future. And, you know, you had told me that, you know, you're really looking forward to the future. There was a report that came out that you were going to go back home. And obviously things then completely changed months after that. I'm really, really keen to know, Fassi, like, when did you realize your time was done at Norwich? So when did you really truthfully know, I need to leave this football club?
This has to be around somewhere in December, where I actually was back fully fit, and I've not even had a place in a squad, where I realized, okay, something is wrong. Then I've had a really honest conversation with Johannes. Yeah. And still I was actually like, okay, no, I can't accept it that I just been here now for 1.5 years and leave in this way, because I actually know how good I actually can be, and I want to show that. But yeah, then I think weeks later I just realized, okay, maybe I will never get the chance to show it. And I was dishonest with myself that even if I will get the chance, I'm not sure if I'm capable to show like how good I am when I'm on the pitch, because maybe I'm going to make myself too much pressure. Because
Mm.
now I've played, I don't know, the last 3 months I didn't play like more than 30 minutes. So now this has to be the moment where you show them how good you are. And then I realized maybe it's too much for me. It's better to make a step back and go back home.
So your decision to leave, would you say, was easy to make?
No, absolutely no. And that, I mean, it was like almost a journey. I mean, I've all the time had or was in contact with the guys from Young Boys, because they're almost like friends. And they also contacted me like in the summer, and I was no, I want to stay in Norwich. I don't have any intention to go back home. And I really want to fight for it, because I was, or not only me as well, my wife and the little one, we were really happy in Norwich. So it actually was never a feeling I've had that I want to go back. It was really like after the conversation I've had with Johannes, and then my agent had a good conversation with Ben, and then you have to realize, okay, actually there's nothing you can do. There's something bigger. I mean, as well, the whole business in football have changed. I've understand that the clubs nowadays, they want to buy a player and sell it like afterwards for more money, and I'm absolutely not here to go somewhere else, like where you will get some money back. So at this stage, I just realized, okay, there's actually nothing I can do. Even in training, how good I will train, I probably will never get the chance again to play, because they have another thinking of the future of the club, because my contract is running out anyway in summer. So it was for them, okay, it doesn't make sense to give him again a place in the squad. It's probably better when he goes. But there was actually never a moment where the club came and said, okay, Fuzzy, listen, you have to go. So it was, in the end, it was my decision.
Okay.
But yeah, they were completely honest and said probably they're going to get another winger, what they've did later. So yeah, for me it was absolutely the right decision, even if it was hard. And I had not sleepless night, but yeah, it was were tough days. Yeah.
It's really interesting, and I appreciate you being so honest and open, Fassi. And I think what probably makes it more difficult for you is that you really enjoyed family life in Norfolk, right? Your little one was born in Norwich, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
I mean, we've had an amazing time as family, because what we've enjoyed the most was like, it was just the three of us. Like even now we're back home, I've loved to have family and friends around, don't get me wrong, but we were there, and it was just like we had our own bubble. It was just amazing to go out and do every day actually what you want, and there is nothing who is going to judge you how you treat your little one and everything. So we really enjoyed the time, and as well, I loved Norfolk, the whole area there. We were really happy.
Whitlingham Lake, you enjoyed Whitlingham Lake, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Cards on the table. We once had a coffee around Whitlingham Lake, didn't we, Fassi?
Yep.
So I guess you can't really speak about that much about your experience kind of working under Johannes Fassi. But what I would like to hear from you as a player is, do you think his style of play, do you think his approach to football, do you think that Norwich fans can be excited about what we've got now?
100%. I think anyway, even if I didn't spend that much time with him, because when you're injured, you don't have to join the meetings, and I was like almost half of the time apart from the team. So yeah, as I said, I didn't really get to know Johannes like properly. But what I've seen, I think really he's one of the best coaches I've ever met, just based on the way he wants to play football and how he sees the game. It's just amazing, because I'm as well kind of a player. I love to have ball position and play and be dominant. And I think all this stuff he wants from the team, it's just amazing. And I would love, as a fan, to have a coach like him in the club. Yeah.
Well, I think that speaks tremendous volumes, Fassi, because you're a player that wasn't really part of the main group for long spells, right? With your injuries and stuff. And so for you to say that is, I think, a huge compliment. Fassi, if you could go back in time and do your whole time at Norwich differently, what would you do differently? Would you say something to someone? Would you play a different position? Would you have kicked the manager's door in? What would you have done differently?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
And I'm not letting
I
you get
think
away with it, Fassi. You need to answer.
no. But I wouldn't say there's a specific moment. Probably, if it would be possible, I would change like the period when Johannes joined Norwich in the summer. That would just stay healthy, because I wasn't even able to show him in which position I play the best, and because in the conversation we've had, he was like, of course he have seen my games the season before back home, whatever, but he never get the feeling of myself as a player. And I think that was just because of the lack at the beginning of the period he joined. And I think it's not a specific moment, but if it would be possible, I would trying to stay healthy all the time.
Oh man, you make me sad, Fassi. It's one of those situations where it's like the right player at the wrong time, or your injuries came at the wrong time, and it's such a crying shame when that happens, because there really isn't much more you could have done differently, which is very, very sad to hear. Looking to the future now, mate. Obviously you're back in Switzerland. You're proudly sporting your clothing brand as well, singing. But what's on the horizon for you? Obviously, you're back at Young Boys. You've got your clothing brand, but what does the future of Fassi look like?
Hopefully, many more years of football. Of course, I just signed a 2.5-year contract, but hopefully I can extend it many more times. But yeah, I'm really happy to settle back home, and as you mentioned, I love to have like my own brand and to work on that, because I'm that kind of guy. As a football player, you have a lot of days off or afternoons off, whatever, and I don't go home and just sleep, or I don't know, playing PlayStation or watching Netflix. I need to do something with the time, because it's so. I mean, if I see all my friends, they're going to work maybe from 9 to 5 or whatever, and they do something out of this time, and you just go back home after training and do nothing. It's like, come on, there's more in this world than, of course, when you're in the training ground, give 100% there, but when you go home, I don't know, do something. And so at the moment, it's not like a hobby, but hopefully when I'm done with football, I can go all in with my clothing brand and hopefully sell it as well in the UK then.
Well, Fassi, it's a vibe. I'm a big fan of your brand, but I have to say, I want your opinion actually, Fassi. We've got our own TalkNorwichCity merchandise. Is this stylish? Are you rating that? Are you wearing it? What do you reckon to the TNC merch store?
I like it. I just would wear it a little bit bigger, a little bit more oversized, but I like the design.
Yeah, but Fassi, I like it tight to be close to the muscles. You see,
like a muscle shirt.
Mate, obviously your time has come to an end now at Norwich City. You're back at Young Boys. What would your message be to the Yellow Army that are watching this back, that are like, Fassi, it's such a shame you got injured? What's your message to the Norwich City fans as you bid farewell?
I just want to say thanks to everybody. It was really an amazing time, not only for me, as I mentioned before, as well for my family. We felt home. I've never ever had one situation where I was in the city or wherever, like where the people disrespected myself or my family, whatever. So it was really, we've enjoyed that time. It's sad that I've left a little bit earlier than expected, but I wish you all the best for the future. Hopefully to see Norwich soon in the Premier League again. And thanks for your support, and keep going with that.
Christian, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fantastic hearing your reflections on your time at Norwich City. On behalf of the Yellow Army, I want to say a massive good luck to you, my friend, for your future. I really, really, really look forward to seeing all of your goals back in Switzerland.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. And to all of our loyal subscribers, thank you for tuning in to this exclusive episode of the TNC podcast. If you've enjoyed it, make sure that you give us a thumbs up on YouTube, a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify. You know the drill. Tag us at TalkNorwichCity. Let us know what you thought of this special episode with Christian Fassnacht, and I will share all of them as a thanks for your support. Christian, Fassnacht, there's only one thing left to say to finish this episode. What's that?
On the ball, City.
Yes.